Okay, testing, testing, one, two, testing, testing, one, two, testing. Yes. Good night, good night, good night. As you come in, share the live. Pleasant, very pleasant good night to you all, to those who are now joining. This is the GMS Live Voice of Democracy and the GMS Live Radio Guyana, to those who are now tuning in to the live and to the online radio. To those who are listening via the online radio, I wanted to say to you that you must continue to share the application to those who have Android, especially to those who using either Samsung or whichever smartphone that uses Android that also has Play Store on it, because it is faster that way. It's a little skeptical when it comes to the App Store, because the App Store, I think you have to have a certain amount of iOS, and I believe that's iOS 15 and onwards in order to get that application download to your Apple device. So to those who are looking via the live stream, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, to encourage your friends to download the online radio, which is the GMS Live Voice of the GMS Live Radio Guyana. If you don't have it, contact me by the number on your screen and I'll be able to send it to you via WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp is the easiest way for me to send that information over to you, because all you have to do is open it up and press download. It works better that way than to send you into the Play Store in order for you to look for it. So, pleasant good evening once again, and good night, good morning, good afternoon to whichever part of the world you're now joining. This is Dr. Matthews coming to you live and fired up tonight. I want to talk about tonight Guyana being a failed state and how did we get here to be a failed state. So, before I start tonight's program, I want to say black love to you. It's a brand that has been registered and patented by yours truly, Dr. Matthews, here in Guyana, who will normally sell that brand to those who are interested in wearing it. It's on t shirts, it's on hats, pens, cups. For the ladies wear, well, you got to contact my better half. She has that also on the ladies wear. And why I say ladies wear, because most of the things are being sold in Guyana by ladies. Men also too buy, but I have men wear also too. That if you're interested in buying the Black Love t-shirts. I know I had it on yesterday because I wanted to showcase it, but yesterday was a little hectic for me in getting that done. So a pleasant good evening to you once again. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Live streaming to you here in Guyana, the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the US Virgin Isles, Mexico, USA, Canada, UK, EU, Beijing, Hong Kong, to those who are looking at us from the Korean Peninsula, uh, to those in Japan, to those in Taiwan, to those in Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, to those in India, the Australian continent, the New Zealand continent, the New Zealand Isles, the Tonga Isles. I hope my friends who are in Tonga are much better off today when they had that than when they had that underwater volcano. I hope that you're very, you know, good. You're feeling well, as a matter of fact. Good night to those on the African continent, especially that person who is Mr. Hussein, I see that you're. Oh, okay. Oh, you wanted me to shout out those in Saudi Arabia, Congo, Yes, in Iraq, in Kuwait, in Egypt. Yes, those on the African continent. A very pleasant good night to you and good day to whichever is your time span. To those on the South American continent, as far as Chile, as far as Colombia, Argentina, as far as Venezuela, uh, Brazil, Suriname, the Netherlands, the French and Dutch Guyana. To those who are looking from at us at the show from Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Republic of Barbados, a very pleasant good night to you. Conversation tonight. Guyana is a failed state, and how did we get here? I like, as to those who are looking knows that I like to teach. So I want to start from how we become a failed state. To those who are now viewers of the Gavin Matthews show and listeners of the Gavin Matthews show on the live stream and also the online radio. Oh boy, yes, don't fight up. I am still where I am. Don't worry. Yes. So what happened? How did Guyana get here? In 2020, sorry, on March the 2nd, 2020, that's roughly actually 2 years ago, we had a regional general elections. And that regional general elections finished with a declaration of an APNU AFC retaining itself back into government by a declaration of the chief elections officer, then Mr. Keith Lowenfield. What happened between the 2nd of March to the 5th of March to the 12th of March and onward to the 31st of July of that same year put Guyana in a position where it became a failed state. Now, why would I say so? And why would I want to say so? Because via the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, it specifically gave instructions to the Guyana Elections Commission chairperson, whoever it may be, that this is how an election is declared. It gives specific instructions. It says to the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission that a declaration of a winning party and its presidential candidate should only arrive by 10 declared districts. That is, and it still is, the written constitutional instructions of how a regional and general election is declared. Why did it say so? It says each region now becomes a district, and each district has a returning officer, district number 1 to 10. Each returning officer declares that district by a written and tabulated or tabulation of votes to that chief elections officer. That chief elections officer now declares, according to Constitution, Before he declares, he tabulates the votes from all 10 districts from their returning officers respectfully. And in that declaration, he gives a general declaration of all districts and local, or sorry, all districts and regional elections, which is regional general elections. And in that declaration, he or she, which might be the chief elections officer, can only declare what has been given to him or her by all 10 returning officers of districts. That's not what Gavin Matthews said. That's what the Constitution says. After that, you find, after the declaration of 2020, you find when Mr. Keith Lowenfield declared the first declaration, which is the constitutionally, or which is constitutionally viable. That is the only way you can do that. It caused a huge problem. What is the problem? The PPP never accepted it. They refused to accept it at that point. Now, why did they refuse to accept it? They say Mr. Mingo have committed fraudulent results. So he rigged the elections in Region 4. Now that could only happen via way of a constitutional court, which now becomes the electoral court. And the law says if you are disgruntled by the declaration, you can only do that via way of an elections petition. That is after the declaration and swearing in of a president. That's what the law says. The Constitution says that. That didn't happen. The PPP got involved in that process. The international community got involved in that process. The State Department of the United States got involved in that process. Mr. Pompeo, the Secretary of State of the United States of America, got involved in that process. You hear how many people got involved in that process? The international community is one. When I say the international community, all representative organizations that are in Guyana that are considered to be international community got involved in that process. Before a second declaration was made, they come out and said that the PPP needs to be sworn in as government because they have seen them as the only particulars that have won the elections. So what had happened after that? The Caribbean community got involved with Maya Motley and a whole heap of them. Whilst they got involved, which is all of these things are unconstitutional. In the Constitution of Guyana never said that the international community declares who become the winner of the regional general election. The Constitution says only 10 declared districts. They never said ambassadors. They never said observers. They said 10 declared districts by returning officers. Declares how you assume or come about the winners of the regional general elections. So everybody that got involved in it now becomes an unconstitutional process. What is more damaging? Claudette Singh. Yes, Claudette Singh, the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission, sat back and tell the entire country that she has the right to create Order 60. Order 60 that seems to emulate sections 22 of the Representation of the People's Act, which specifically says how you attain a recount. Now, sections 22 that she so claimed that gives her the power and the authority did not, because it says that recount starts at the place of poll, and it could only do that by the activation of the returning officer. That's what section 22 says. But she now took it upon her own. Wait till after declaration of all 10 districts. Wait till after declaration by the chief returning officer. Sorry, by the chief elections officer, to tell Guyana she is going to create her own electoral constitution by an order 60. Gazetted it too. How these people got the nerves in the belly to shred apart Guyana's constitution to fill their greed. Yes, talking about Claudette Singh. Created order 60 with the blessings by two persons, Mr. Jagdeo and Mr. Granger. And when they realized that order 60 was unconstitutional, they pulled itself out. They're trying to say it was based upon her and the recommendation that she's been given because she had some wide-ranging powers. But we can get to that just now. So order 60 was created and caused a general recount. And what I'm talking about tonight to those who are looking is how Guyana became a failed state. Now, they said that Mr. Mingo rigged the results in Region 4. So when they decide to count Region 4 now in the recount process, right? I can't answer the call right now. Can't answer the call right now, Tyler. I can answer the call later. So when Region 4 decide to be, the counting stage of Region 4 decide to be counted, 47 boxes, they found that from the east coast of Demerara, which is part of Region 4, had no verification or affiliation of votes that are in that box to say that this is constitute a ballot box. Each votes are valid and legally cast. 17,565 votes in those 47 boxes went to the PPP. Now you're saying, hear the nonsense. You're saying that Mr. Mingo, Clement Mingo, rigged the elections in Region 4. You understand? But he rigged it in favor of the PPP. Well, by this is the beginning of beer laugh in this country, because the people must look at me and say, watch these pack dance. I ain't really understand where they're going. So what I'm talking about to those who are now joining is how did Guyana become a failed state? Via way of constitution. When you take a country's constitution from us, from them, it becomes a failed state because they are not governing it. So after that, let me show you the lawlessness that took place after Order 60 came. Then you had the shabako of who is in charge of GCOM really. Is it the chief elections officer or the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission? So the courts said to Guyana that the Constitution says that the chief elections officer takes his orders from the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission and he carries out the duties. Well then, I'm saying that the chief elections officer declaration does not advise the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission how to declare her duties. So then she's fully in charge. When you read the Constitution, it's not so. So one tends to wonder, what is the purpose of the chief elections officer? Because as far as I'm concerned, the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission sits on the board of commissioners according to the Constitution. Of six, and she's the seventh commissioner, which is the neutral person. And she makes sure that all electoral process is being fairly administered by the directions of the chief elections officer. That's what the Constitution says. So she directed him to go back and make a declaration based upon certified ballots and not valid ballots. You see where it comes now? So now the whole electoral process now becomes changed because now there's no validity in ballots. There's no validity in ballots. She's asking for certified ballots. You know what is a certified ballot? You open the ballot box, you count 10 ballots, and you certify all 10. The validity process is different because now you have to know what ballot is spoiled and what is not spoiled. That process did not exceed. The CARICOM delegates that went here inspected 18% of the ballots and went back and said a whole lot of stupidness. Not respecting the Constitution of Guyana, and which we are guided by, which is the supreme law. So what happened? You had a declaration by the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission declaring Air Fraud Ali, because that's his name, fraudulent conversion, that dunce, declaring him winners of the regional general election based upon certified ballots and an unconstitutional recount. So in her promptings to the Chancellor of the Judiciary, she quoted the sections of the Representation to People's Act in order to swear him in. She did not quote Article 60. Why I'm doing that is to refresh your memories why Guyana is in the state it is in now. We tend to forget. And I'm educating the nation, helping them to understand what do we have in front of us. Now you're already swearing this fraudulent government that has been installed by the international community and by the process of an uncertified, unverified, and an invalid, unconstitutional process by the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission. That happened, and it come and it done. You swear him in. Now he becomes a fraudulent president because he's not constitutionally recognized. He was not duly elected to the position. He's not a tenant of the Constitution. He's a squatter. And he has applied himself to the position by a dictatorial process that made Guyana into a failed state. Now, they decide to challenge that section of the unconstitutional process to declare Mr. Ali. He's not no doctor. I'm a doctor. To declare Mr. Ali. And that process now becomes an unverified, invalid, unconstitutional process. It's now before the courts. It went before the courts. And you can imagine Miss Roxanne George Wiltshire, that's her name, decide to say that the chief elections of the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission has autonomous powers. Well, believe you me, I never know that she is parliament or she has the right to act on behalf of parliament because there's no autonomy in her powers. I want you all to realize why this election petition is taking so long and so hard to be a part of a reasoning or part of the table to find solutions because it is so messed up. Every process is unconstitutional in the Ghana elections, in the petition. Elections petition before the court, 99 and 88. Can you imagine Miss Wiltshire telling the Guyanese people that she has autonomous power to create an avenue where she can have an unverified and not so duly elected powers outside of the Constitution? When it was the same president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, when they took it there, he verified to them that Order 60 is a different electoral process. It is unconstitutional. It is the same law faculty within the University of the West Indies who are now challenging the Caribbean Court of Justice about their decisions. Why did they even allow it to mingle within the Caribbean Court of Justice when Articles 25(5) of the Constitution that was brought about in 2004 by the same Jaglio government restricts the CCJ from hearing or meddling in any electoral matters of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. And the only court and the last court to hear such matters is the Appellate Court. Mm, 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 mm. Can you imagine that? Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen who are now looking, it's a discussion of how Guyana became a failed state. And Guyana is now a failed state because people now don't respect us because we have no respect for our constitution. Now, that now is being picked up and put one side. The dictatorship, murderous government, a murderous party who is now squatters in the executive, the PPP, and the murderous gang of many, because that's just who they are. Let me get me to go. They don't care. Are now sitting there at the helm of the executive, dictating upon the lives of Guyanese who have never put them there. And now when we decide to speak out, people are now dying. So this is how the international community sees us. Now here is the most terrible part of it. They're picking members of a political party, which call the opposition, up one by one. They're charging them. They're taking them before the court with trumped up charges. They're processing, charging people are now unconstitutional. Can you imagine you're charging a man? You're charging a man for a crime, and when you meet there's no statement of evidence. Even if the statement of evidence, like me own, I read me statement of evidence the police give me liar, it's bare laugh to see how they find the evidence. They say, well, I cause emotional distress to the little boy. You understand? So, what happened now? That now has been swept under the carpet because people are not now talking about it anymore. The elections petition 99 and 88. 99 is the evidence of all the evidence within the recount process, and 88, it is the process in which they meet Order 60 that is unconstitutional. So what we find now, that we're getting a hard time to hear these two petitions because nobody seems to be talking about it now. It becomes quiet. It's been swept under the rug. And the international community that supported it and install this de facto terrorist regime were trying to tell us now, like the same rat who said that he felt the elections was credible. Guyana's constitution does not says you win an election based upon credibility. You win an election based upon validity. You have to make sure that your votes and your ballots has validity in order to be counted in the process of declaration. That's what the Constitution says. Now this is happening. Pompeo left the United States, come all the way to Guyana to sign a contract. They call it the catfish contract, but when you open it, it says for eyes only. Well, let me tell you this is a defense contract to protect Guyana airways, waterways. So when the US is ready, they will bill us for that. They can get billed just, so don't take worries. All of them can get billed just now. Guyana got to find that bill, that money, and got foot the bill as a matter of fact. In order for us to experience such security, I don't know from who. I do not know from who. But let me tell you the other side now, or the failed state reasoning. Now we come to budgetary and parliamentary process. Now, the Natural Resources Act Fund specifically says that in order for you to withdraw monies from the Natural Resources Act, from the Natural Resources Fund, you have to have at least 2/3 majority of Parliament to withdraw money from that fund. And it also stipulates that you cannot withdraw monies like that. You have to borrow from the fund because you have to put back into the fund with interest. So Guyana can be beneficiary. Guyanese can be the beneficiaries of what is in that fund. It also says when you go to the Sovereign Wealth Fund Committee, you go with 2/3 majority to that committee, whether it be opposition or in government. That was the understanding. So the de facto regime decided to pass a Natural Resource Fund Act again, 2021, in Parliament with a simple majority, trying to take over or take away the fund. Fine, we understand that. Understand that. But here is the problem. Guardians of democracy is not seeing that because they were the ones who said they were protecting the Constitution and the democracy of Guyana. So calling them out, I don't care who was the head. Now they realize that that doesn't matter with the law they passed in Parliament the other day. To borrow any money or to withdraw from the fund becomes a harder task. So this is what they're doing, Guyanese. They're borrowing from countries like China. I want us to understand why we are a failed state and why we'll continue to be a failed state. Can you imagine? You're borrowing $1.6 billion from China, US, not Guyana dollars, US currency. 1.6 billion. And nobody knows how Guyana can arrive at such taxation system that can acquire that amount of money within a certain amount of years. Remember, monies would have been borrowed based upon what the taxation system can give back to settle the account in borrowing. That's how it works around the world. Or you might have to have some other substantial means of how foreign currency, of how economic businesses come in your country that can pay back that debt. No, this is what is happening. They're looking at the amount that they have in the natural resources fund and borrow on that. That is what they're doing. Now, here is the worst of all. They're going to pass a budget. It must have done pass already. For what? 500 billion? My thing is, how are we getting back that money when we borrow it? Can we produce or provide $500 billion within a 3 year, 4 year span in taxes that we can start paying back on that money? Because we don't know if oil prices is going to be high or low in the next 3 years from now. Let us say, for instance, oil has met at least $30 a barrel, or 25, or 18, or $10 a barrel. Who knows? Nobody doesn't know the future from now. Who's paying back that money that they're borrowing? That 1.6 billion US dollars. Who's borrowing? I mean, who is? How would that pay back? How are you going to pay back that money that they have just borrowed? Let me tell you another thing too. The United States of America owes China $13 trillion. Yes, for those who doesn't know, owes China $13 trillion. That's one of the biggest economic countries in the world. And we borrowing from them 1.6 billion, and no longer they owe China 13 trillion since 2010. And the debt ceiling has met now $20 trillion and climbing. They can't even pay them back. They can't even pay them back up to now, and that's the United States of America. Who's Guyana? When we got the biggest oil company down here from the US, which is Exxon, and we're paying debts so fast, we're paying monies out so fast, more than we can even earn it as a country. We are paying monies out so fast, more than we can earn it as a country. We don't even have the capacity to gain or to round up economically so much money. Exxon give you a bill for 9.6 billion. A receipt. Hey, look, y'all all this, see how y'all can pay me now. And we borrowing 1.6 from China. We can't even put our own accountant general. No, sorry, what do you call him? Auditor general. To audit that 9.6 billion. The ministries that they're awarding certain monies to give out in contracts for the private sector commission out of the $500 billion Guyana dollars. And we are putting ourselves in continuous danger. And Guyana is becoming more and more a failed state because its citizens are less informed. Nobody sitting down to inform us about the kind of dangers that we're putting ourselves in. We're allowing the politicians to make decisions that we don't even have a clue. And we're fighting each other over handouts, which is destroying us constantly. Do we have an idea of how much debts our country will be in by time 2025? Do we have an idea? Hold on, I got somebody I gotta stop, block, and delete. What's his name? Shafiq Khan? Yes. We don't have an idea. We don't even have a single clue in our heads that the amount of debts we will be in by 2025 as a country, and our children's children's children, fourth generation from now, still can't pay off that debt. And if we keep on going this way, we'll be one of the poorest country in the hemisphere, but does not control its wealth and its riches because someone tucked away in an office got these brainless politicians signing pieces of paper, handing Guyana over to people who are just thieves, convicts. Whilst these same thieves and convicts are enriching themselves, not only themselves and families, but enriching themselves in that circle because they don't care about this country. They are not making decisions that we can arrive at economic prospects that we can survive and sustain ourselves as a country. We allow politicians to do so much that they think that they're doing the right thing. They do as they feel. And when we decide to speak about it, people like me, it becomes a problem because they continue to misinform us. We continue to be less educated about the matter that are at hand. We become less focused by handouts and entertainment. It is destroying our culture as a people, and especially those of the black race of African Guyanese. Not only that, but we become more oppressed and suppressed by dictatorship. We have to continue to let people know that we cannot carry on with this. It's not making the right, it's not helping us to make the right decisions. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to take my time and make the first phone call back the individual that called earlier so we can spark this conversation. And I want to spark it because this is part of a bread and butter issue that is most necessary to us as a people. You understand? This is a serious bread and butter issue. We need to get on top of it. You understand? Good evening to you. I think what I have is a microphone problem. So you need to call me back so people can hear you via the other instrument. Okay? Can you do that? Yes. Good. No problem. Yes. So what happens now is that people are treating us as a failed state because there's no representation for us as Guyanese. Hold on. Pleasant good night to you. Thank you very much for calling the GMS Live Voice of Democracy and the GMS Live Radio Guyana. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Matthews, I was listening to your show,
Mm.
and I must say you've done a very comprehensive show this evening. whereby you touched on a variety of matters. You touched on the constitutionality, you touched on the illegality.
Mm-hmm.
You asked the proverbial question, why is Guyana a failed state and how did we arrive to this point? And then you began to dissect the budget. And now you are asking another question, which is a very good question, of why do we allow our politicians to do as they want to do, signing these crazy bills with Exxon and putting us in debt indefinitely. Debt that our grandchildren probably wouldn't be able to pay.
No, they would.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
So, you know, before I go, I want to ask a question. One question amongst many, but most importantly, I would like to ask. I have been hearing quite a lot of persons who are in a position to do. I'm in a position to do. You're in a position to do. Rickford Bork and Mark Bench Chopper all in positions to do. Right? Many persons are in a position to do. So, if we are all saying that for the last 22 months that the PPP is illegitimate, then what does it take for us to go to a court and challenge these issues which we've been talking about for the last 22 months? I mean, I would like to ask almost a stupid question. You know, I put myself and say it's a stupid question for me to ask. Now that we have all of these complaints, and we are considerably, reasonably educated people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much longer would it take for us to put a simple case in court to challenge any one of these 12 complaints that we have? Excuse me. I heard you itemize very intellectually. You are dead on, Gavin. You sound as though you went to law school with the amount of stuff I hear you talking about now. You have matured. And I'm saying to myself, if Gavin, who is not a lawyer, could come up with this amount of legal questions, then what is the coalition doing? What is Nagamutu doing? What is Ramjatan doing? What is Amanza doing? These are all lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
It is as if there is no concern about these questions. I don't think it's a question anymore. It's obvious that these politicians, and you ask the questions, why do we continue to allow? So let's take it a step further, Gavin. It's not just about allowing. We have been allowing this.
Yeah.
It appears to be a duality. Politicians who want to keep us interested long enough to take our votes.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get our votes, they're no longer interested in doing what we are asking. And that's why you see, we ask ourselves, how long will we continue to allow? Because politicians have already taken our votes. And they're no longer interested in doing them.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So we have to come to that realization. And what I find, Mr. Matthews, is that we are not coming to that realization. It's like a man in love with a woman and he can't believe the woman left him and the children and family gone. Or vice versa. Or the woman can't believe she man left she and gone with the children. Vice versa. We are still in shock. Still in disbelief. I can't believe this thing happening. Or maybe someone died in our family and we just can't come to realize that the person is dead. So, what am I saying to Guyanese? I said, Guyanese, we need to wake up that people are gaffing us.
Yep.
And I think we having a big problem getting over
That gap.
that
Yep.
psychological barrier,
Yep. So
right?
true.
I think a lot of Guyanese, as intellectual as we are, we could not fathom that Green just sold us out. It took us a while. It took them a while to fathom that they were sold out, right? And it's also taking us a while again to believe that people in the coalition are still gaffing us. Let me tell you something, Guyanese. A lot of our parliamentarians, they just happy they get a job in parliament. Fish out the water. They're just glad that they went to UG and they work hard and they get a job in parliament. It's like they gone to heaven. Okay? They feel like they are in heaven and they get everything they want in the world. They are still mesmerized that they're in parliament.
Hmm.
They are not really realizing that they're not doing for people.
I see. I see what you're coming
They
from.
think that it's just sufficient to give. See, that's how they learn politics. They think it's sufficient to give
Hmm.
and make it seem good, but they realize that they're not necessarily doing any changes, but who is looking anyway? No one is holding them accountable.
Yep.
No one is challenging them. No
Nobody.
one is saying, so you see, so anything goes.
Hmm.
They could come to work in the morning, go on Facebook, get a flip, go around the neighborhood, talk to one, two people, and call it judge. And think that is comparable
I see.
to modern day political action.
I see. I see.
Or
So,
until someone comes along and says, hey, what you're doing is mediocrity, masquerading, gesticulating, pretending, pontificating that you're doing the people's a service. You're not.
yes, I understand.
Yes, damn it.
I
You're
understand.
mamagaing yourself, and you think you know there is only one kite in the sky, and the
Mm.
Guyana kite is the baddest kite in the world.
I
But there's only
understand.
one kite in the sky,
I
and
understand.
that is what Guyanese we have. This is why we keep telling ourselves this is not a real place. You notice we keep saying it more and more.
Yeah, yeah,
Why we
yeah.
keep saying that?
But you know what?
Because we're realizing we're not getting real representation.
Hmm.
We are indicting our officials. We are actually indicting them. Because it's two reasons cause we say these things. Because the PPP, but mostly because of how our own coalition representatives are misrepresenting us. We can't believe 22 months after this can't be a real place.
Hmm.
How these things happening? Because it's the coalition allowing it to happen.
Yep. Yep.
If
Understand.
a person is illegitimate,
Hmm.
these are real things.
Hmm. Hmm. Understand.
You see, so even though I could spend my time talking about all the wonderful things that you mentioned,
Hmm.
I think we have heard all those beautiful things already, Gavin. You've been teaching now for 22 months.
Yes. Yes, I understand.
It's not like they didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So we got to come to the realization of the divorce.
Hmm.
Guyanese people have got to behave like how they behave in America or Canada or other places.
Hmm. Hmm.
We hold revolts
Okay. Understand. Well,
and we demand.
I gotta make a few more
We
calls.
demand.
I gotta make a few more calls if
Right,
you don't
right,
mind
Gavin?
calling. Yes.
Before you go, Gavin,
Uh-huh.
we
I'm
must
listening.
hold our votes and demand better. comparable with what's happening in the States and other international countries.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
the coalition leaders don't like it, well, too bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Understand.
But we mustn't allow them to pretend to gaff us.
Mm-hmm.
We got to tell them, stop it, or we're going to get this divorce.
Okay.
And they're going to shape up. Hold the feet to the fire.
Yes, we
Thanks,
do.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes, yes, we do. We gotta hold the feet to the fire. Thank you very
You
much for
take care,
calling,
bro.
though. Yes, you too. Stay
Yes.
safe and be careful. You know, that's a caller that I always like to talk to. He's always on point. And the thing is that we cannot be continue to take the gaffing because the gaffing is what is killing us. Because nobody's doing the right thing. Everybody's doing as they please. But we cannot be allowed to be gaffed over and over. It's really distracting us. You understand? So let me see if I can take this other call that came in. Okay. Yes, think I got this call. Yes. So we cannot be continue to be gaffed. We don't want to be continued to be gaffed. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, well, I was trying to call you back too. Well, thank you very much. You know, they got me mixed up with a whole lot of things. I'm off. I'm off right now to the original screen, but it's okay. Thank you very much. And let me make another call to that other caller who was calling earlier. Hold on a bit for me, please. Okay, yes. But we need to keep on point. This is the reason why Guyana became a failed state. Guyana and its politicians are refusing to keep up to the constitution, keep up to the agenda that elected them to that position. This is Dr. Matthews calling you back from the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Good night to you.
Hi, Gavin. Good night. Thanks for returning the call.
Yeah, man.
I just want to make a few. I just want to make a few points. You know,
Go ahead.
the last caller there, he was really on point in certain things he said. I mean, if you're unconstitutional, in my opinion, I think the country should have been shut down long time ago.
Of course.
Right? Yeah, because they're illegal.
Of
And next
course.
thing to when you were speaking about the courts and so forth, but you know as well as I was living in Guyana here, you know that they own the courts. So when you go file certain case against them, it's going to be a large notice you.
But the thing is
They will
that
push it.
we keep telling ourselves the PPP own the courts. They don't own the courts. The reason why the courts operate like that is because you refuse to get up and stand up for ourselves.
Mm,
Let me ask you something. If there's a mass protest tomorrow morning where 80,000 people come out and protest the court's lackadaisical timing of the elections petition, I bet you by then tomorrow afternoon there's a hearing on the elections petition.
mm.
That's what I'm talking about. But our
Well,
leaders that we elect to the position are not pushing that steam. So we
well,
we
well,
right. So we depend upon them to
um,
push the steam. So we like back and
exactly,
relax. So we not moving.
exactly, exactly. I just want to make two remarks.
Go ahead.
I had a conversation with this one, South African descent, you know, and you know, like I said, they said that most of his wealth he was acquired during the PVP time.
Mm-hmm.
The PNC did not much for him, you know. So I said to myself, you know, this man already care about Guyana. A man gets shot at security dead,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. The man gets charged for manslaughter. And you can tell me this all you care about your wealth in Guyana. Look what happened in this country.
But you know,
Oh,
here is the bottom line of that right now. People talking about the AP and you did nothing for them when they were in power. They didn't do nothing for me neither. You think they did anything for me? I didn't get a job. I didn't get a contract. I got a company and separated in three parts. Me ain't get nothing from them. But you
Mm,
know why I enjoy? I enjoy
mm,
peace and tranquility. I
yeah,
enjoy the ability to raise up your head and to speak as you feel
yeah.
like. It was freedom.
But Kevin, it was amazing. It was so shocking to hear this businessman, a relatively wealthy businessman. This man saying
You only
he
thinking
just
about yourself.
he just cared about his wealth. You understand? Like he didn't care about nobody else. He came with it. He had 3,000 Africans getting knocked off.
Mm.
Look at the security plays on that thing. Over 2,000 Africans get knocked off. Not knocked off. The take with the contract from them from certain places.
Uh-huh.
At Caliber Security.
Yeah.
But a lot of people out there. I
Because they're making way for sheriff security.
I know I know Gavin, and next thing too,
They're making way for
most of
sheriff
these
security. What's gonna
yes,
make it way for?
most of these politicians who either have no or PDP or whatever small party, you must
Mm-hmm.
check it out, Gavin. Most of them, the family, the children, the children starting outside.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? So
Okay.
most of them already got this country at heart. You understand? Because they know they could jump on the plane and the gun away if things come if push comes in shove and the
Uh-huh.
back against the wall.
Okay.
And next point, the last point, Gavin, is they were saying we are really in a failed state of truth
Mm-hmm.
because certain people I know them are going to phone and call Jack the right away, madam, on the spot. So when I had man in the street could call up by president, you know it's a failed state.
Mm-hmm.
That's my contribution tonight, Gavin.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling too. Uh-huh. Let me take this other. Oh, I think I got that. I missed that call, but let me call that person back. Hold on a bit.
Educating Chinese.
Okay.
As I requested this morning on a previous program,
Mhm.
you may not agree with me. Some of your callers may, or your viewers, listeners may not agree with me. This is my take. Ghana is going nowhere, Gavin.
Mhm.
Guyana needs to be divided.
I'm
The
listening.
reason being, Ghana needs to be divided. Who? I want you
or I want any one of your callers who are going to call after, show me or point to the Guyanese people which of the two, who or point to an individual in the two major parties that will be capable of prosecuting corrupt politicians, corrupt police, corrupt soldiers, corrupt judges. Point to me which individual will rescue Guyana to be a law-abiding country. As far as I see it, what we are going through here, what Guyanese are going through here,
Mm-hmm.
it is repetitive. This happens every 4 years or every 23 years or every 25 years. Whoever in power at that time, you're going to have the same situation.
So
The only
are you saying that instead of that they need a third party?
Gavin, Gavin,
Mm-hmm.
third party wouldn't work in this situation or the climate that we have in Guyana. Guyana is totally corrupted. There's no other solution. You need to be separated. People may want to say, oh, we have 6 races. Oh, we have this. Oh, we have this. Are we going to divide the wealth? It does not matter because we do not enjoy what we have. We still don't enjoy it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We still don't enjoy it. I can tell you one thing that gets me so upset of recent that happened. And the amount of wealth monies that we have in Guyana, the fire that they had at the first wharf in Guyana. I still observe workers walking in mud, swampy, dirty mud. After so many years, the wharf is not developed. 30, 51 years of independence. Look at Georgetown. Look at Linden.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Morley. We have nothing new, nothing different from what LFS Bornum created
Mm-hmm.
or in his era. There's nothing. The politicians of Guyana failed the Guyanese totally.
Okay.
When there is elections, there's race baiting. Regardless of what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us might say, oh, we're not racist, I'm not racist. But yet when it's election time, you either go the straight here or you go the kinky here. Every 5 years. Don't matter what, on both sides, Gabi. We gotta be, you have to be conscious of this.
Okay.
Majority, the majority, you can't tell me no. The majority of African Guyanese or black Guyanese, don't tell me African. It's my heritage, yes. But I'm a Guyanese. I'm a black Guyanese. The majority of them will tell you they're not comfortable under the PPP. The same will goes for people of East Indian descent. Will tell you we gotta stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop it.
Well,
they will tell you
I can
they
tell
do
you,
not want to be ruled, David. Let me finish,
I
please.
can be straight up with you. I will never be comfortable with the PPP. The PPP is a murderous regime.
Yes.
They killed out a whole set of black people. So I can't be comfortable with that.
Okay. You have a legitimate right from what you observe.
Not
but
only
I'm
that,
telling you from people.
I worked under them. I saw.
That's what I'm saying. You have a legitimate
Of course,
reason.
no,
Your reason is legitimate,
of course, because
Gary.
I wasn't in the PNC time. In my young age,
Exactly.
I was 17 when I started working in the Ghana Police Force. That's how
Okay.
old I
Adam,
was. I spent
right.
my life there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in 1995. So you can
Right.
imagine.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Your reason is legitimate because you felt it.
Of course.
But this is the thing I'm telling you. On both sides of the act, they will tell you if we have. This is the thing. Guyanese. Oh, we want to be like the U.S. We want to be like England. We like have a referendum tomorrow,
Well,
and you will see the result.
I got it.
No, I listen. The referendum to separate. Have a referendum tomorrow, and you're gonna see the results.
Well, Ravi, they've tried it. I can tell you that, and it didn't work.
He tried it. No, he didn't try it the way he should have tried it. Go on the streets tomorrow. For no here, Gavin. This is okay. People who are affected on both sides.
Ah,
Okay, you ask them tomorrow. Would you? We have to get okay. You probably need professional people to go about this. The reason why we have to do this because we always gonna be at ease with one at each other's throat. We always. And you know why the politicians don't want to fix the constitution? Fix the constitution to deal with racism. None of the two will do it because it benefits them. They wouldn't do it.
okay. Understand? You see where
They
you're
would
getting
not
from.
touch it. So this is my thing. I would like to know. I can wake up in the morning. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If elections is tomorrow, I like to feel comfortable. I'm going to going to the location to vote, and I vote issues. Okay? I mustn't be afraid to go in a particular community because I'm afraid people are gonna attack me.
Because of the color of your skin. I
Okay?
understand.
Okay. Gavin,
I understand.
where I am, listen, where I'm a registered Democrat. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when it's time for elections in my community, if my rates and taxes don't go up and it's a Republican in power, you better believe it, I'm going to put my ex there. We don't have that in Guyana because our level of education is poor. And who's the cause of that?
Understand.
Who's in charge? The politicians. They're in charge. They give us food, they give us light, they give us education, everything. They pull the strings. And if you want to keep people in poverty, you give them just enough that you don't put them over there.
Right. So they always stay in poverty. I
It
understand.
always will be.
I
It always will
understand.
be. And this thing will not change. It will not change. So my best, this is my thing, Gavin. It might sound stupid.
Mm-hmm.
In another 100 years, we can have the same issue. In another 10 years, we can have the same issue.
Well, it really got out of hand this election. I was even surprised.
And it will. If you have a parliamentarian in parliament telling the world that the opposition didn't do nothing for their people, and they're keeping their promise to theirs. You tell me, is Guyana one? Tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me.
Understand.
Are we dealing with a one Guyana or a two Guyana? It doesn't make sense. Over and over and over and over, we have our children going through this nightmare, trauma on both sides. It doesn't make sense, Gabby. A referendum tomorrow and you will see the results.
Understand. Very much. Very much
Gavin,
understand.
have a wonderful night.
You too. And thank you very
Take
much.
care.
You just opened my eyes and wake up my ideas with a whole lot of stuff. But thank you though.
Gavin, thank you so much. Have
Yes.
a good night.
You too.
Keep up your good work.
I will. I will. I will. There is a woman who's passionate enough to tell the truth because she's trying to let all of us know that at the end of the day, it's a lot of race politics that is going to be played out. For me, I don't like the PPP because it is racist. I worked with them for 15 years and I've seen the level of racism. I've seen the level of hate against black people. And I've seen what they have done to introduce a cultural system of entertainment to make you remain poor. They give you a little, they don't give you plenty. You don't go past $10 million. That's a little. So you can barely survive. You can barely keep your head above water. So you can remain poor. And you know what after that? They step on you so hard that they make sure that when they take their knees off your neck, you're dead. That's who the PPP is. That is why Guyana is a failed state because nobody into the international community recognizes us and respects us. We got to go the same flow. It's the new norm. Elections are not won by valid votes anymore. Election is won by installment of an international community. And how they say and what they say goes. Guyana is going to become like Haiti just now, where members of the international community rearrange their constitution to fit the international community and not the country of Haiti. Can you imagine that? The constitution is so lawless that a man could turn up and kill the president at any time. A group of men. Guyana is a failed state. We are being controlled by powers beyond our knowledge. And those powers utilizes the de facto illegal illicit terrorist regime. And because they're waving lots of cash and resources that our own politicians that we have put there can't effectively identify, notify, and teach us because it's becoming a problem daily. That is our problem right now. Misinformation of a people becomes miseducation of the younger ones. The lack of knowledge doesn't bring wisdom, and you're in poverty all the days of your life. So the only thing you can teach is how to accept poverty and entertain entertainment in your culture because that's how they see you. That's how they look at us. So when this black man sit down on this live stream and raise these issues up, I now become an enemy, not only to my own brothers and sisters, but to the dictatorship that claims to be a democracy. This is not a democracy. This is an autocracy. This is a dictatorship. This is racism in its fullness and oppression. Brothers and sisters, black love is alive. It's alive and well. I want you to let you know that to those who are looking. The Black Love t-shirts are still on sale. I still have more coming. It's available. I have your sizes small, medium, large, and extra large. I have those sizes. So to those who doesn't know what Black Love is, let me tell you before. I close my program tonight, so you'll be able to understand when I mean black love. It says, no brutality, no agony, no torture has ever driven me to beg for mercy. I would rather die with my head high, my faith unshaken, and a profound trust in the destiny of my people rather than live in slavery and a contempt for sacred principles. That is what my black love is. And I will keep teaching that all the time because we need to come out of this. We cannot live in oppression all the time. So I have my t shirts out there. I have my pens, cups, hats with the same brand, the Black Love brand. Please go on the site. You will see it. And the Black Love brand is specifically for the functioning and the betterment of the Gavin Matthews show so I can deliver to the people at any particular time given. And to strengthen the radio station that I have, which is the online radio station, and the live feed from Facebook to YouTube, Twitter, then to Instagram. This is Dr. Matthews saying stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones you take into public places. Call the number when I'm off the air. I will take for 1 hour before I sleep tonight. That's from 9 to 10. Good night. Cheerios for now.